Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Business Survival Guide. I am Nicole Magelson, founder and CEO of Alpine Virtual, where we have helped business owners save over 100,000 hours with virtual assistant partnerships. Today, we're talking about something that has kept many small businesses up at night, and that is inflation. Everything costs more right now, from rent to supplies to software subscriptions to employee benefits. Meanwhile, customers are tightening their budgets, which means you can't always just raise prices to compensate. It's a squeeze from both sides that's forcing business owners to really get creative about how to survive. But here's what I've been seeing across our internal client base. Businesses that are not just surviving, but actually thriving during inflation are the ones who have figured out how to leverage virtual assistants strategically. Hear me out. They're not just using virtual assistants to save money, but and that is obviously part of it. They are using them to become more efficient, to become more responsive, and to become more competitive. Let me tell you about a client of ours who owns a marketing agency. In 2022, her office rent jumped 30%, her health insurance premiums went up, and the software tools her team relied on all raised their prices. She was looking at either laying off staff or drastically raising her rates and probably losing a lot of her clients with how big that raise rate needed to be. Instead, she restructured her operations around virtual assistants. And today, her agency is more profitable than before inflation hit. Her clients are happier because she is able to offer more competitive pricing, and her stress levels are much lower because she's not consistently worried about having to cover the overhead. So let me show you exactly how businesses like that are using virtual assistants to inflation-proof their operations. The first strategy is what I call overhead arbitrage. Traditional employees come with massive hidden costs, and it's only gotten worse with inflation. There's health insurance, payroll taxes, office space, equipment, paid time off. All of these costs have increased significantly. When you add it all up, a $50,000 salary employee actually costs closer to $70,000 to $80,000 when you factor in all of these additional expenses. Virtual assistants eliminate most of these costs. There's obviously no office space needed. There's no health insurance. There's no payroll taxes. There's no equipment that you need to buy and maintain. You're just paying for productive work, period. But here's where it gets really powerful during inflation. You can scale your support up or you can scale it down based on your current revenue without massive financial commitment of hiring or firing employees. So one of our clients was spending about $180,000 annually for 2 full-time administrative staff plus benefits with all of that overhead. They transitioned to 3 virtual assistants working very part-time hours based on their workflow needs, and their total cost annually dropped to about $75,000, but their productivity actually increased because the virtual assistants were specialists in the specific tasks that needed done. So it was less hours, but more work was getting done. The second inflation fighting strategy is operational efficiency optimization. So when every dollar counts, you can't afford to have expensive team members doing really low value tasks. Inflation forces you to really examine what work requires your specific expertise and what can be handled by someone else. Your VA can take over time-consuming tasks that don't really generate revenue, like scheduling, like email management, like basic research and data entry, social media posting, managing your CRM. This frees you up to focus on the high-value activities like client strategy, like business development, and service delivery that directly impacts your bottom line. I worked with a business consultant who calculated that he was spending about 15 hours per week on administrative tasks while charging $300 per hour for consulting. So that's about $4,500 worth of time every week going to tasks that a VA could handle for about $600. By delegating these tasks, he could take more time on clients without increasing his overhead, which gave him pricing flexibility in the really tough economic times. The third strategy is enhanced customer service without the cost. So during inflation, customer retention becomes crucial because acquiring new customers is a lot more expensive than it has ever been. Marketing costs have risen. Customers are really selective about where they're spending money right now. And that means that the clients that you have are more valuable and losing them is a lot more painful. Virtual assistants can provide enhanced customer service that keeps clients happy and reduces churn. They can handle customer inquiries quickly, they are able to manage client communications proactively, and they're able to ensure that nothing is falling through the cracks. This level of service used to require hiring additional full-time staff, but virtual assistants can provide it at a fraction of the cost. An e-commerce client of ours was losing customers because they couldn't quite respond to inquiries fast enough with their small team. So instead of hiring a full-time customer service rep, they brought on a VA who handles customer emails, process returns, and manages their help desk system. So customer satisfaction scores were obviously improving. Return customers had increased by an average of 40%, and they did all of this while spending about 60% less than a full-time hire would have cost. The fourth inflation fighting approach is market expansion without infrastructure investment. When local markets get tough due to inflation, many businesses need to expand their reach to maintain revenue. But traditional expansion, like opening new locations or hiring regional staff, is incredibly expensive, especially during inflation periods. Virtual assistants that are able to enable graphic expansion without infrastructure costs. So they can handle customer service across many different time zones. They can manage marketing campaigns in different regions, and they can provide new support for some new market segments. This allows you to grow your customer base without that massive upfront investment that traditional expansion requires. One of our clients is a training company, and they wanted to expand from local workshops to national online programs. So instead of hiring regional staff, they used virtual assistants to manage the registration, the customer support, and the follow-up for their online programs. They're now serving clients in 47 states with the same overhead that they had when they were just serving their local market. The fifth strategy is technology leverage and automation. Inflation affects software costs too, and all of these subscriptions have dramatically increased, and now the tools are incredibly more expensive. But virtual assistants can help you get more value from the technology investments that you are already making. A really skilled automation-specific virtual assistant can help you set up automations that integrate different software programs together and optimize your existing tools to work more efficiently. They can also research and implement cost-effective alternatives to expensive software solutions. So this means you're not just saving money on labor, you're also optimizing your technology spend as well. We once had a real estate client that was a real estate agent who was spending over $800 monthly on various software subscriptions. So her VA was able to go in and automate all of these excessive tools. They eliminated the redundancies and found more cost-effective alternatives. They were able to set up automations that reduced the manual work as well. And this cut the software costs by about 40% while actually improving her processes. But here's something crucial that many business owners miss: the psychological impact of having a virtual assistant during these tough economic times. Inflation creates stress, and stress leads to poor decision making. When you're constantly worried about cash flow and overhead, it's hard to think strategically about growth and opportunities. Having reliable virtual assistant support gives you that mental bandwidth that you need to be able to focus and strategize instead of getting buried in daily operations. You can spend more time analyzing market trends, developing new service offerings, and building relationships instead of just drowning in those administrative tasks that you don't need to be doing. This strategic thinking time is what separates businesses that just survive inflation from those that emerge stronger. So let me share with you some numbers that show the financial impact. We tracked the data from 50 of our clients over the last 18 months, the period when inflation really started to hurt. Businesses that strategically implemented VA support saw an average of 23% reduction in operational costs while maintaining or improving service quality. More importantly, they maintained their pricing flexibility. So when competitors were focused on raising their prices dramatically due to overhead, our clients could keep their pricing competitive, maybe raise it, but just a bit, so that their cost structure was more efficient. This helped them maintain market share and gain even more customers from competitors who priced themselves out of the market. The businesses that implemented VA support, they were able to show more cash flow, management instead of large fixed payroll expenses. They had variable costs that could flex with revenue. So during the slower months, they could reduce the VA hours, and then during their really busy periods, they could scale up quickly without the lead time and commitment of hiring employees. Here's what's interesting about our current economic environment. It is actually accelerating the adoption of virtual assistant support. Businesses that might have been hesitant to try out new VAs, they're now being forced to consider alternatives to traditional staffing models. And once they experience the flexibility and also that cost effectiveness and the strategic mind, many are restructuring their entire operations to this model. So if you're feeling the pressure of inflation on your business, the key is to start thinking differently and to start thinking strategically. Don't just think of VAs as a way to save you money, but they absolutely will. Think of them as a way to be more resilient, more flexible business model that can adapt to economic changes. Start by identifying your high cost, low value activities. These are usually administrative tasks that take significantly more time than they should, but they aren't actually generating any revenue. Calculate what these tasks cost when you factor in your true hourly value, and then compare them to the cost of having a VA handle them. Next, look at areas where improved efficiency could help you serve more clients without increasing your overhead. Customer service, appointment scheduling, follow-up communications. These are all examples of areas where a virtual assistant can support you and help you handle more volume without losing that quality. Lastly, consider how VA support can give you the bandwidth to be able to focus on strategic initiatives that position your business for growth. So when you're not spending 20 hours a week on administrative tasks, you have the time to develop new revenue streams. You can create new service offerings, and you can build stronger client relationships. Inflation is really challenging, but it's also creating opportunities for businesses that are willing to adapt. Virtual assistants aren't just a cost-cutting measure. They're actually a strategic tool for building a more efficient, a more flexible business model. The businesses that emerge the strongest from this inflation period will be the ones that have used the pressure that they're having right now to really innovate to optimize their operations. Virtual assistant support is one of the most effective ways to do exactly that. So thank you for watching our small business survival guide. If you are feeling the pressure of inflation on your business, I would love to hear about some of the biggest challenges in the comments below. And if you're ready to explore how a virtual assistant could help your business not just survive, but really thrive during these tough times, make sure to subscribe for more strategic insights. Until next time, keep building that resilient business.